Hey everybody, I wanted to share with you a song I wrote about 20 years ago, inspired by the story of the Sioux Indians and the Little Bighorn battle, aka Custer's Last Stand. I also recorded it about 17 years ago. I'll play you the song just here live and also share with you the studio version. I hope you'll consider watching. Well, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this song first because it's a subject that's sort of near and dear to my heart, and also kind of goes with a theme we have a little bit on this channel, which is the 70s. I was raised in the 70s, and you might wonder what the 70s has to do with the Battle of Little Bighorn, but I remember in the early 1970s, there was a really good book out. I unfortunately don't have a copy. I looked through all my books back there and I couldn't find it. I thought I had one back there. A copy of the book, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee by D. Brown. That was a great book, and I read that in the 5th grade. I read it from cover to cover, or I tried to read it from cover to cover, and I just remember so many good things about that book. I was like, what, in 5th grade, I would have been like 10 or 11. It was probably the first adult book I ever read, but it had, you know, the story of the Navajo, a lot of good stuff on the Apache, you know, and their wars all the way from like Mangus, Colorado, and Cochise all the way to Geronimo. And, you know, I read all that, Chief Joseph, some of the California tribes. But the sections I remember reading the most eagerly were the ones on the Sioux Indians and the tribes of the Great Plains and how they fought, especially in the 1860s and 70s and even on into the 1880s to try to maintain their freedom. And of course, one of the biggest incidents in that War of the Great Plains, as it were, the Indian Wars of the Plains, was the Battle of the Little Bighorn on June 26, 1976. And I remember reading about that. And after I read that book, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, I just read like all through the 5th and 6th grade, really, and the rest of my life, really, but especially in 5th or 6th grade, I read a ton of books on the American Indians. So I sort of consider myself a Indian history buff, if not a professional Indian historian. But I wanted to share a couple books with you before we go on. If you'll just bear with, I'll timestamp it so you can zip ahead to the song if you want. But I just have a couple old books of Indians, and I've got a bunch of old books from my boyhood on Indians in those shelves. I picked out a couple. This is John Tebble, The Compact History of the Indian Wars. And the reason I'm sharing this is because I opened it. I remember reading this. I read it in high school. And oops, it's overdue. It was due on April 7th, 1979. Uh-oh. I better not reveal it. I might have the biggest library find since Beaver Cleaver and Eddie Haskell lost the library book on Leave It to Beaver. You know, Beaver had a big library find. He thought they were going to throw him right in prison, you know, for that library find. I imagine this must be a pretty hefty library find. Maybe I shouldn't admit it. A couple of these books, these are just books I had when I was a boy, and you know, I just grabbed them when we were moving all those years ago and put them in a box, and I still have them. Treasury of American Indian Tales. I'll tell you something, you know what? That was good reading for a boy. Sometimes I think they don't have as much good reading for a boy. It was something like a good 5th or 6th grade reader could read. But it was very interesting and very boy-friendly, if you don't mind me saying. You know, boys like to read, too. This is one I used to have that was one of my books. I think my uncle gave me this, the Dictionary of the American Indian. It's pretty good. But I'm going to play the song in a minute. And while I play it, I'll show you a couple some pictures, and some of them will be from the Golden Book History of the United States, which you see me use. I used some pictures from these books in that video I did on William McKinley when the president was shot, and also the one I did on the Gordon Lightfoot song about the Atlantic Railroad in Canada. But we're going to use volume 6 again. That was the same one that had some stuff on the Transatlantic Railroad. I think it goes up to volume 12. But in volume 6, you've got some good pictures by the artist who did so many nice pictures in this, Alton S. Tobey, and also some drawings by a guy named Richard Kluge. And you can see, and I used to love these books. Good history for a boy. I'll also show you some stuff from these old coffee table books. This is American Heritage, America's Fascinating Indian Heritage. It's kind of one of those big old books. Like, I think they're not quite as nice since the internet, because you can find a lot of this on the internet. But it's one of those books that was kind of well made. You know, kind of a you can use it as a doorstop or a paperweight if you didn't want to read it. But it had a lot of nice pictures in it, and they've got a lot of stuff on the Great Plains tribes. And also this one, which was by Oliver Lafarge. Now, I didn't really, Oliver Lafarge, I think this is considered kind of a minor classic, although it's, you know, written decades and decades ago. But this is a really good book, and it's got a lot of pictures. And so I'll show you some pictures. And without further ado, we'll hear my song on the Little Bighorn Battle.
Oh, I can still remember it was 1874. I would ride my painted pony on the plains. But little did we know those days would come again no more. It was Indian summer, and a gentle breeze blew soft across the land. Oh, ride my pony on the plains, from the morning till the evening sun goes down. Ride in the sun and in the rain, in an Indian summer, when a gentle breeze blew soft across the land. Then the long hair they call Custer came into our sacred hills, found that yellow meadow in the sand. And blue coat soldiers, cavalry cut on deep into our grounds in Indian summer, with the winds of war blowing restless across the land. Oh, ride, we will gather one last time, the Arapaho and the beautiful Cheyenne. Oh, ride, and we'll shoot the blue coats down in an Indian summer, and we'll find a place to make our final stand. Oh, see the lone teepee out on the lonely Rosebud ride, on her even with no place to hide. You can't put me on an agency, you'll hear my battle cry. Indian summer, and that day seemed like a damn good day to die. Oh, ride to where the little Bighorn runs, hear the thunder rumbling across the sky. Ride into the sound of guns in an Indian summer, and that day seemed like a damn good day to die. Then onward to Saskatchewan and the great grandmother land. Always cold and hungry on the run, holding on to something till there was nothing left to hold. And an Indian summer was a chilly breeze blowing hard across the land. Oh, ride, 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 ride until the bitter end. Keep on riding till your heart can ride no more. Oh, ride, ride, ride till your people shine again in an Indian summer, like the ghostly spirits dancing across the sky. Oh, ride, 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 ride my pony on the plains, from the morning till the evening sun goes down. Ride, 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 in the sun and in the rain, in an Indian summer, when a gentle breeze blew soft across the land.
Well, now you'll hear the I hope you enjoyed that song. That was the song, and also some scenes from some of those books I showed you, particularly the Alton S. Tobey paintings from the Golden Book of American History, and also that Oliver Lafarge kind of coffee table book. Now I'm going to play you the studio version of the song I recorded maybe 16 or 17 years ago, and there's not much to it, but it was recorded with some really good mics, like a $5,000 mic. So if you want to hear the difference between a $5,000 mic and a iPhone 14 mic, just compare what you're going to hear in the next minute to what I just played. But it was recorded on some really good mics, and I think I just added a little light lead guitar over it, and I did several songs at that time. At that time, I was doing several songs based on history, literature, and also academic life, some of which didn't go over too well. I'm going to publish all those songs someday, songs about academic life, because I've been in academia for 35 years. But anyway, this is the studio version, and let me just say, I did this video. This video is already on my channel, but I'll put it here also. I did this video during the pandemic, and I went up to Cartersville, Georgia. I think it's Cartersville, Georgia, and took a bunch of pictures, and they were very nice. They just said, take all the pictures you want in the Booth Museum of Western Art, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of almost at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, just as you kind of leave Atlanta and go into North Georgia. And Mr. Booth, I don't know that much about him, but he amassed a huge collection of Western art, including a lot of popular art, but also like some George Catlin paintings. He's got some Frederick Remington, some really important Western art in there too, done in sort of the traditional American West style of art, which is its own style, which I happen to love. I imagine some people would say it's indulges in stereotypes or romanticized images, but
oh, I can still remember it was 1874. I would ride my painted pony on the plains. Little did I know those days would come again no more. It was Indian summer, and a gentle breeze blew soft across the land. Oh, ride, 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 ride my pony on the plains, from the morning till the evening sun goes down. Ride, 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 in the sun and in the rain, in an Indian summer, when a gentle breeze blew soft across the land. Then the long hair they call Custer came into our sacred hills, found that yellow metal in the sand. And blue coat soldiers, cavalry cut on deep into our grounds in an Indian summer, with the winds of war blowing restless across the land. All ride, 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 we will gather one last time, the Arapaho and the beautiful Cheyenne. Ride, 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 and we'll shoot the blue coats down in an Indian summer, and we'll find a place to make our final stand. Oh, see the lone teepee out on the lonely Rosebud ride, on her even with no place to hide. You can't put me on an agency, you'll hear my rebel cry, Indian summer. And that day seemed like a damn good day to die. Oh, ride, ride, ride to where the little Bighorn runs, hear the thunder rumble across the sky. Ride, 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 ride into the sound of guns in an Indian summer. And that day seemed like a damn good day to die. Then onward to Saskatchewan and the great-grandmother land, always cold and hungry on the run, holding on to something when there was nothing left to hold. In the Indian summer was a chilly breeze blowing cold across the land. Oh, ride, 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 ride until the bitter end. Keep on riding till your heart can ride no more. Oh, ride, ride, ride till your people shine again in an Indian summer, like the ghostly spirits dancing across the sky. Oh, ride, 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 ride my pony on the plains, from the morning till the evening sun goes down. Oh, ride, ride, ride in the sun and in the rain in an Indian summer, when a gentle breeze blew soft across the land.
The other thing I'll say about the Booth Museum of Western Art is I was up there right when the Black Lives Matter riots were going on. And you know, I know the Black Lives Matter riots, which I kind of generally supported, but we always heard they were mostly peaceful. But right when I was up there was the time when, like, Atlanta, parts of Atlanta were having really bad, you know, I'll call them riots. When you're burning buildings and looting and things, and also toppling a lot of statues. There were statues being toppled all over the country. And I told the old man, it was kind of a sleepy little museum. I think they must have a pretty good endowment, because it was just kind of a sleepy little museum. There weren't too many people in there, but it was in a big, beautiful building. And I told one of the old men that was sort of at the ticket booth, I said, man, you're lucky all those protesters haven't come up here, because look at, they've toppled every single statue that they can find, you know, all over the country. If they got in here, you'd have a real mess on your hands. And he agreed, and I said, "You got to defend this art no matter what. Don't ever let anyone come in here and burn stuff." And that might sound kind of paranoid, but at the time that was very real. Fortunately, they're just far enough away from Atlanta. I think they were kind of out of reach. But if that museum had been in downtown Atlanta, oh man, I don't know. That we might have been telling a different story. But this is the version where I talk about Indian summer. You know, the last days of warmth and summer, and you know, you almost feel like it's still the middle of the beautiful summer, but really winter's coming, and that's that 1874 context where it's still nice. You know, you almost close your eyes and you just forget that the world's falling apart around you. You know, it's still kind of nice where you are, and that's sort of how I interpret it metaphorically, Indian summer. That's what I meant by it. So I hope you enjoyed this song. Thanks. God bless.